Hi everyone, this is Lauren coming at you from the Break Zone with another video. This one goes over Magic the Gathering Arena Beta. So we're currently in open beta, meaning that anybody can go ahead, download it and try it out for free. It's a freemium game and it is different from the regular physical version that you can find at your local game store of Magic the Gathering. So the Wizards of the Coast, the company that produces Magic the Gathering, has gone ahead and taken a little bit of a step into the esports scene, as well as the digital card game. So they had a previous iteration called Magic the Gathering Online, but that's a separate entity and nothing carries over from that. And now they're in open beta for Magic the Gathering Arena Beta. So that's a separate, as I mentioned, separate entity. So don't mix and match those. They're very different. And while they used to have closed beta, they've reset everything, refunded people anything that they spent so they could spend it over in the open beta. They don't plan to have another reset, so if you want to give it a shot and you haven't done so yet, that's well, you should give it a shot. I think it's pretty fun. It's interesting. It's if you're not familiar with Magic, it's one of the old school, I guess you could call them the big three, some of the longest standing, biggest selling trading card games around. That's Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon. Not in any specific order, but Magic is one of the oldest ones. I've played it when I was much younger. I still played a little bit. I still have cards around, and well, they're worth money. But keep in mind, any money spent on Magic the Gathering Arena will not be able to be, well, it's non-refundable and it's non-transferable. There is no buying, selling, trading singles on this program. So if you want to go into all that and you want to play Magic, you should do the physical card game. But if you want to play from home, well, you can play it for free. It's pretty fun, actually. All right, so I'm going to go over some of the things that if you're going to give it a shot, you should keep these things in mind. There are some banned cards, specifically in Standard. So currently on MTG Arena, there's only one banned card, which is Rampaging Ferocidar. And if you're not familiar with the card, it's from Ixalan. And well, I really don't need to go over the card very much because it's banned, so you can't play it. So if you open it in a pack, I feel sorry for you. It's worth nothing and you can't use it anyways. So that's something to keep in mind if you decide which pack to open, which packs to buy on MTG Arena, because if you open a bunch of a whole lot of Ixalan packs and you happen to open up some Rampaging Ferocidons, then you will not be allowed to play them. Otherwise, you would be disqualified. Also, in the future, they do plan on having something called Standard Plus. So I'm going to go over some of the formats for this game, where right now on MTG Arena, the only one you have to worry about is Standard. If you play the physical card game, there's also Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Elder Dragon, Highlander, or also known as Commander. But all those other formats besides Standard are not available on MTG Arena, and I don't think they have any plans on introducing them either. But as I mentioned, they will be introducing a new format called Standard Plus, and that's something I'm gonna guess that will bridge the gap between Modern and Standard, but only on MTG Arena. And they might actually transfer that over to the physical card game because well, otherwise it might not be quite as popular. And the current sets available for Standard right now are Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, Dominaria, Core Set 2019, and Guilds of Ravnica. Guilds of Ravnica being the newest set and the one that will take the longest to rotate out. So which pack should you buy as a new player? So let's say you get into the game and you've tried all the free stuff, you did a tutorial like I did. I'm on my second day of Arena and I've completed all my missions on day 1, and on day 2 I think I completed the majority of the missions as well. Then you start wondering, like, well, I get to pick which packs I open when I earn enough gold for my missions and I can buy a pack. So which one should I get? Well, the most likely answer you get is depending on what you're aiming for, you should get those packs. So if you want the majority of your cards that you open up in packs to be available to be used for the longest, then it's Guild of Ravnica. but some of the strongest cards available are most likely in Dominaria as well as Ixalan, but those sets will rotate out of Standard at later on, because this game actually has rotations. So after a certain amount of time, some sets are allowed in Standard and some other ones are no longer allowed in Standard as they shift over to all the other formats as well, and will only be available in the older formats, like I mentioned, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and EDH. Normally you can have somewhere between 4 to 8 sets available in Standard. Right now we have 5 because there is a core set 2019 that was released this year. And let's see, the release schedule, as I mentioned, normally they have one in October, January, and April. Core set was an additional one where they had reprints of some of the older cards to be available in Standard to kind of expand the card pool so people could have a bigger variety of decks available, or cards, good reprints that would be very good in the Standard environment that Magic the Gathering has decided to introduce into Standard. So normally the first set that comes out every year in terms of rotation is the one that comes out in October. So when it comes out, there's 3 sets that get kicked off of Standard, so you won't get to, like, you know, 9 sets or like whatever amount of sets available in Standard. So every October you do expect some of the cards from 2 years prior to no longer be available to play. Let's see. So most likely packs you should buy. So Guild of Ravnica if you want to keep the majority of your cards playable. Otherwise, Dominaria and Ixalan, and the least recommended, the ones that people had mentioned was not that great, not as useful, was actually Core Set 2019. So if you have a choice of picking which packs to open and you don't specifically need cards from Core Set 2019, or you have wild cards to get those cards, then pick like Dominaria, Ixalan, or Guild of Ravnica. Those would be the top 3 to pick. Okay, if you want to not dump a whole lot of money onto MTG Arena, but you want to play, I guess you could say you want to complete your missions on a daily basis, you want some decks that are potent enough but not too expensive, then I'm going to put a link to some of the budget decks that I found on Reddit, from like Mono Blue Tempo, Mono Red Burn, Mono White Weenie. There's some other ones like Mono Black Discard, Mono Black Edict. So that's a good amount that you can do without having to spend too much, having to that focuses mostly on using, let's say, commons and uncommons, maybe not so much rares and mythic rares. A lot of the games you'll play will be best of 1, so you don't have to worry about sideboards quite as much. But if you go into tournaments, then you will have to worry about best of 3, where you will have to use a sideboard, and I'll go into that. Well, you know what? Why don't I go into it right now? So this is MTG Arena. This is what you'll see on your home screen after you do your tutorial and whatnot. These are the missions, so they kind of tell you what you have to do here. I need to win more to get 50 gold. It takes 1,000 gold to get a pack, so that's, and the reward actually would change. I think there's a certain amount of rewards you can get every day. I've already got my pack for my weekly packs. So that's going to take a long time to refresh, and I'm sure there's some other ones here too. We can buy at the store when you want to buy a pack. Well, okay, this is pretty cheap for $5, but I don't plan on spending money, because I know that any money sunk into this game will never come back to me. So that's purely for entertainment value, unless you want to be competitive. So as I mentioned, 1 pack is 1,000 gold, or like you could start spending gems to get more packs. I'm not sure if that's cheaper. 600. Well, I'll take a look in a bit. But these are the sets available: Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, Dominaria, Core Set 2019, Guilds of Ravnica. Otherwise, let's take a look. Purchasing gems. Well, yeah, the usual freemium format, right? They don't give you the exact amount of gems that you want when you buy them. That way you always have leftover and feel like, oh look, you know, I have some gold but I need more, or some gems I need more, and you end up buying a different set. And of course, the more you spend, the more you kind of get in terms of digital stuff. But keep in mind, hopefully you have some restraint and you know what you're aiming for. Any money spent on this game will never come back to you. Okay, there's no selling your account, there's no selling your cards or trading them away. everything is 100% staying with you and your account for as long as this game is alive. So if this game were to ever shut down for some reason, they were to upgrade to MTG Coliseum instead of Arena, then none of it would transfer over unless they let you. So be very careful about how much money you spend on this game if you do so. So if you want to know what gems are for, as I mentioned, you could buy packs. Well, hold on, look. Let's take a look again. You could buy packs. So in terms of, I don't even know, how do you get, you can buy gold? No, you can buy gems, you can't buy gold. So gold, there you go. Earn gold by completing games or completing quests. And you have to buy gems. So there's no conversion value between the two. So don't worry about that too much. You go to your pack section to open your packs. I opened up all of mine. These are the meters for the wildcards. So the more packs I open, the more wildcards I can get. But it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. So one more pack, so a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 packs would have gotten me an uncommon wildcard. While it would take me, well, 1, 2, 3, I guess only 6 packs to also get a rare. Yeah, well, I need that mythic. That's the one I'm looking for, the mythic wild card. Which, I mean, they gave me some for free, but like that's not enough. I mean, right here I have 1 mythic. I probably need like 8 to 12 for 1 deck. So if you want to be competitive, it's gonna be rough. I think you can get some wild cards from opening packs, like randomly inside of packs as well. I think you get a wild card if you already have the maximum amount of copies of a certain card. When you open up a pack, then they will change that card into a wild card because you have 0 uses for it. Yay, commons. Isn't that nice? Common wild card as well. For my discard changes. For my profile, I'm currently in bronze tier, which is, I think, the lowest tier, so don't even worry about that. And in terms of what you can do when you play, if you want to play for free, well, they give you some decks, some starter decks to start off with. 6 of them. This one you can't really see because that's my face on there. Tactical Assault. So they give you some for every color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every color available, and 1 little bonus extra here. That's kind of nice. And these are all ones I've made to just kind of play around. When I played the tutorial or some of the early game, I did play mostly the Force Might, the green deck, to just kind of accelerate into larger creatures and win the game that way. And that kind of worked out with decks that didn't have good removal or really didn't have enough flying creatures or anything that could block my way, because I had Trample, so I could deal damage even if my creatures were blocked. Okay. Another use for the gems would be for some of the events. Right now they have 1 streamer event with Crypt. That's like Crypt Barbarian or something like that. I'm trying to remember the full name, but either way, like, that's a special event right here with the streamers that they're planning on doing. Well, at least for the near future. They have some holiday event going on as well, and there's also drafts. But if you want to play on these events, you will have to spend some gems. So the holiday event you don't have to, but otherwise you do need to spend gems or a lot of gold to be able to play in these events. And you can't really see at the bottom, but with each win you get, well, more gems and some packs. So 1 pack and 50 gems. Well, actually it goes up. So the more you win, the better, obviously. But if you ever lose 3 times throughout your run with that draft deck, then you will actually be out of that event, and it will no longer count towards your following wins. So yeah, you can't just win one game, lose 3 games, and do that like 7 times and try to get 950 gems and 2 packs. I don't think that's how it works. At least I haven't tried, because I don't want to spend money, and I'm not saving my gold for playing in a draft when I could just open up the packs I want, because I don't want to just open Guild of Ravnica. But in case you don't know what a draft is, there's a rule right here. Each pack has 15 cards in it. You pick a card and you pass the rest of the pack, and somebody passes you a pack, and you keep doing that until no cards are left. Open up the next pack and do that again, and at the end you build a 40 card deck, and all the basic lands, those are your resources. You probably want about, I think it's about 17 in a draft deck. The basic ones are free. You can just add it from your collection, that's fine, but otherwise you cannot use any cards from collection. You can only use the cards that you drafted in order to put together a 40 card deck and compete. There are obviously some lands that would come up in the packs that would be non-basic, that might be useful as well, so don't disregard lands just because you get to use basic lands. Sometimes there's some lands that have some really good abilities or that could really help you put together some decks. Alright, going back to some of the reasons why you should consider playing competitive MTG Arena. That's not something that I'm doing, at least, because to do so would probably be ridiculously expensive and time consuming. But Wizards of the Coast has made it very enticing to consider, at least, because they've thrown in about $10 million into the prize pool for MTG Arena and their physical version of the game. So that's combined, that's not each. And the first event will actually start off at PAX East. That's the Mythic Invitational, so that's not for regular players. That's for the people that have obviously been invited, and that's going to be they're going to be playing for $1 million in prizes on between March 28th and 31st. So to look a little bit more into the event, it's going to be people that they've hand selected from the Magic Pro League that they've created. And some of the other things to keep in mind is in terms of competitive calendar and schedule, they haven't released anything else regarding events for MTG Arena quite yet. That's something that they'll be discussing in the near future. But for the physical card game, at least, there's going to be an event in Cleveland from February 22nd to 24th. London, April 26 to 28, Barcelona from July 26 to 28, and in Richmond from November 8 to 10. I have no clue where Richmond is, by the way. And what else did I look up? Oh, the ranks. So one of the reasons why I mentioned that getting those ranks. So one more thing I want to look up. So no, actually, you know what? Let's not look that up. In terms of ranks, so as you saw, I am bronze 4, so that's the lowest tier past beginner. So beginner is probably only for when you're well, I don't even know what it's for. Is it for tutorial only? Maybe. So I'm at the lowest rank right now. I'm only playing for 2 days anyways, and the more you win, the more you I guess you could say rank up, then you start progressing rank 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you go to the higher ranks and so on and so forth until you reach Masters. Okay, it's not going to be easy to reach Masters though, because in the earlier ranks, I believe it's in Bronze and Silver, you actually earn more per win that you lose per losses. So it's something for like a 2-to-1 ratio. But once you reach Gold, Mythic, and Masters, you will only get a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning for every one of your loss will be negated if you lose for every one of your losses. So if you win one, then lose a game, then win another game and lose a game, then you will constantly stay at the same level. And keep in mind that the higher you progress, the more experience, I guess you could say, the players you'll be playing against. So even in terms of if you and your opponent play, let's say, a mirror match, exact same deck, and neither of you make any mistakes because, well, you've practiced the matchups and you're fine, then you probably won't be at much higher than a 50% win rate. There's a chance you go to about like 55 maybe, and even then, if it goes 55 or too high, and a deck is deemed too strong by Magic the Gathering, like Wizards of the Coast, then they will probably ban cards. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a ban card in Standard, so that deck will no longer be valid. So you most likely will only have about a 50 to 55% win rate, and you will be playing against people that are just as good as you in terms of being matched up against people of same ELO or ranking, whatever you want to call it. That means that you will have to grind a whole lot of games or be extremely lucky to try to keep ranking up. I mean, sure, if you go with 100% win streak all the way to Masters, like, hey, you know what, more power to you. But most likely scenario is you will lose some games along the way, and it will slow down your progress, and you will probably lose about 50% of your games, meaning that getting from gold to masters is going to be extremely difficult, and only the most competitive decks could really go up that high, meaning that either they somehow have a collection that has like the most expensive, most powerful cards, a whole bunch of mythics, and more likely than not spend a whole lot of money to get them because they couldn't trade it, so they had to keep spending money to get the cards this quickly, this early, because grinding it out the freeway is very, I guess you could say, exhausting. It's quite a bit of a grind, and it's something that I kind of miss in comparison to playing physical card games or even playing Artifact. Artifact lets you buy and sell cards. I mean, sure, I've lost some money on it. If you want to talk about how much money I spent getting the full collection of Artifact cards, I spent about $270, and now it's probably worth about $250. I mean, sorry, $150. So it has definitely gone down. And in terms of what it means in comparison to the physical card game, over the years, I've definitely made money off of Magic cards just by, you know, taking good care of my cards when I bought them, played with them, had a good time, and then as I started slowing down and getting more into the, you know, EDH, which is a singleton format where you can only have one copy of a card per deck that's a non-basic land, then, you know, like, I've got at least some of my money back, if not made money off of the value increasing over time due to like just rarity or usefulness. And it's something that you're not going to find in MTG Arena. So do not use MTG Arena in order to think of it as an investment of money that will grow over time. If you want to play for fun or play competitively, that's fine. Just throw the money you want, use the money that you want, disposable income, whatever. You know, get gift cards. Maybe they'll have gift cards for this in the future. Not sure, but either way, go ahead and do that. But always keep in mind that any money that you throw into this game will never come back to you. You can't sell your account, you can't sell your cards, you can't trade cards. So all of that is something that's holding me back from wanting to spend money on this game. But if you want to be competitive, go ahead. It's a different level of complexity in comparison to Final Fantasy the Trading Card Game or even Artifact, where the majority of, I guess you could say, the time that I spent thinking about the game, some of it's practice. You know, you just got to play your deck. But you will, I usually spend more time thinking about how to build a deck to counter a meta, because a lot of it comes down to deck choice and sideboarding. So sideboard is part of your deck. Let me show you a little bit. When you build a deck, let's look at one of the crappy pauper decks I try to build with the limited amount of cards I have. So a sideboard is 15 cards, and your deck is 60 cards, including your lands. And a lot of the games that you play currently on MTG Arena will be best of one, so you only have to worry about your main deck. You know, the cards that you start off with in game one, because in best of one there's no game 2, game 3, so there's no sideboarding. But as competitive events come up in the future, I do fully expect them to put in best of 3 for some of the things that happen, and sideboarding will be a big deal, because best of 3 means that only in game 1 will you be playing your original list. In game 2 and 3, you will most likely be sideboarding depending on matchups to improve your win rate versus a certain deck, because you know certain cards are very potent against one deck but not very useful against other decks, so you put them in your sideboard. And even if you win 100% of your games, okay, in the best of 3 format, that means you spent 50% of your time playing with the iteration of your deck that has part of the sideboard cards swapped in instead of exchange with your main deck. So that's a very big portion of the time that you have to learn and playtest in terms of matchups and everything when you decide to be competitive in this game. And if your opponent is just as good as you are, or then you will most likely go to game 3, meaning that you spend actually somewhere between 50 to 66% of the time playing against an opponent with the sideboarded version of your deck for Game 2 and Game 3. So sideboards are a big deal to keep in mind if you want to play this game. And well, that means that you have 75 cards, and even if you have, let's say, 20, somewhere between 24 to 28 lands, I really think 24 is a good amount, then that leaves you with what? 36 plus 15, that's 51 cards. Well, also your lands could be rares and mythics also, they don't have to be basic. So that's a whole lot of cards that could be quite expensive, so that's something to keep in mind. And it's fun though. That's part of the fun of playing Magic, is knowing your matchup and knowing how to sideboard and making very good metagame calls. In comparison to, let's say, Final Fantasy trading card game, where the majority of your time you play in Swiss. Swiss rounds are best of 1, and when you get to top cut you play best of 3, but there's no sideboard because of the way the game is put together. It doesn't need it. Then it is different, you know. And this game also allows you to have up to 4 copies of a card in your deck, meaning that if there is a very expensive card, like, you know, well, in Final Fantasy trading card game terms would be like Wall, which is worth somewhere between $35 to $80 or whatever it is for foil, or then getting 4 copies is more expensive. It's a larger deck and it allows you to have more copies of expensive cards as well. So this can get really pricey, and that's one of the other things that kind of kept me from keeping up with Magic as much as I used to, because it would get very expensive. And in terms of the ebbs and flow of Standard, even though it won't really affect MTG Arena since you can't sell your cards anyways, they have zero value, then zero value in the retail market or between other players, except for the fact that you have to crack open more cards to get mythics, to mythic wild cards to get more mythics. It gets expensive because when it rotates, then it's no longer available to play in Standard, which is, I think, one of the reasons why they're looking to creating this Standard Plus, where it won't have as many sets included as Modern, but it will have more than Standard when some of the sets start rotating out, so that people won't feel like their cards are completely useless as MTG Arena keeps moving forward. And in case the game ever shuts down, or if you want to close down your account, keep in mind that, as I mentioned, your cards have zero value on the outside markets. So any investment in here would be purely for the fun factor. Okay, that's something to keep in mind. That but if you want to play this game and you like it, and then I would really urge you to consider playing the physical version, because at least your cards will have some value, even if they rotate out and prices kind of drop or whatever, because the card's not as strong in the Modern format and all the other formats as it is in Standard. Then at least you can get some of your money back, or keep in your collection, and maybe it'll go up in price like mine did over time. But on the digital version, it will not, at least not in MTG Arena. And now that MTG Online is being phased out, then the values of those cards are also just, from what I understand, they're crashing now, because it almost feels like Wizards of the Coast will be transitioning into MTG Arena and focusing their efforts in that area versus MTG Online. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It was a little bit of an introduction in case you want to consider trying out this game. As I mentioned, it's freemium, meaning that if you want to give it a shot, well, let's take a look. Right here, MTG Arena Beta, download it now, it's free. They won't reset your account. They have no plans for it, at least for now. I'll put a link down below in case you want to give it a shot, so that you'll be able to take a look at all the resources I showed in this video and have a good time. Even if you don't want to spend money, you can always give it a try. I mean, it's kind of like well, it's not mobile at this point. It's only on, I guess, I know it's on PC because I'm playing on PC. Not sure if it's available for Apple, but it probably for Macs, but it probably is. And I mean, it's it's fine if you know what you're putting your money into, and that's the main reason why I put this video together, to have people at least be aware of what they're getting into. You want to play for free, it's gonna be a grind, it's gonna be difficult. It can be fun in the beginning, but as you rank up, it's gonna be exponentially more difficult to be able to tackle on fully decked out competitive decks when you're playing with, I guess you could say, a handicap. I mean, it's a fun game. It doesn't, it's not as straining to play. It's not as, I guess you could say, maybe complex. I mean, I don't want to offend anyone by saying that this game's not good. I mean, I've been playing it for so long, and it's definitely deserves a lot of praise for being one of the longest lasting, one of the biggest games around. But it can be simple at times, especially playing aggro decks. You know exactly, you know, play one land each turn like you're allowed to. That's the maximum you're allowed to play each turn normally. And then play most of the cards that you can to kind of, you know, good turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 plays, whatever, into your turn 4 and 5 plays, and save your removal for the right times. Use it early if you have to, but otherwise, like, if you have a card that just destroys or exiles a creature, make sure that you have it for some of the biggest threats that you expect them to have. Other than that, like, it hasn't been as difficult for me to play this game as Final Fantasy or Artifact. You know, it's not, at least not in a best of 1 format. In a best of 3 format with sideboard, that's when things change up in terms of going to a tournament and making the right call as to which deck to play. Then Arena can definitely stand against the best of them. It is a very good game. It's very solid. I mean, obviously it has a pedigree, and it's I guess you could say it wouldn't be, I don't know if it's the very first trading card game, but it is one of the most successful ones out there. It has a worldwide appeal, and if, for example, Final Fantasy was your very first trading card game, this is another one that you could consider. The community is definitely different. Same thing could be said about Artifact. The community is much different from Final Fantasy, so don't expect to be treated the same way if you transfer over from there. But other than that, hopefully you give it a shot. I mean, it's free, you know, just like all those mobile games that you might give it a try. And as long as you know what you're spending, how you're spending your money in this game, then it's perfectly fine. You know, you just have to make educated decisions regarding how to get into this game. I made the decision to play for free because I don't think I have the stamina, hours, or anything like that to make it to the Masters rank. And if I'm not competing for Masters, then I shouldn't be competing. That's the way I feel about it, right? Like, but unless I want to just throw money at the game because I don't mind, because it's my disposable income, and that's fine. If you're putting in money to try to get to Masters, then you just be aware that it's going to be a heavy time investment on top of a heavy financial investment, and that investment will not be able to be recouped by selling your cards if you play MTG Arena versus the physical card game. Okay, so thanks a lot for tuning in. Hopefully, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, feel free to put them down below. I'd also like to give a shout out to our sponsor, MagicDeckGames.com, that sells Magic the Gathering singles, the physical version, because, well, like I said, Arena doesn't let you do that anyways. Also Final Fantasy, the trading card game, as well as Pokemon. And they gave us some things as giveaways so that we could do some, we could reach out to our subscribers. When we reach 800, 900, or 1,000 subscribers, we'll choose one of our subscribers at random, and they'll get to pick between the following prizes. They'll get to pick one, and we'll send it to them. From Dominaria Mox Amber, Horizon Canopy from Iconic Masters, a 60-pack of Cactuar sleeves, a Lightning plushie. And an Opus 3 Shiva deck box from the Toronto Crystal Cup that was autographed by Taro Kageyama, the producer of the game. On top of that, we'll also send that person 2 pins from the Break Zone. One that's colored and one that's gold. And they're pretty good. They're solid, you know. I like them quite a bit. They're actually very well detailed. I really like the art on this thing. Anyways, well, thank you a lot for tuning in. Hopefully you give this game a shot. Be aware that if you spend money on it, it is not money that you can get back. Okay, so it's purely for the fun value, or if you're if you know that you'll have if you have the stamina, time, and money to grind away to get that master's rank. So I'll put a picture up of the ranks again, just so that you guys can have a quick reminder of what it's going to be like. Otherwise, well, good luck to everyone. Hopefully you'll have a good time playing this game. So far, it's a nice little break, you know. I mean, it's in terms of the visuals, it's not quite the same level as Hearthstone or Artifact, where the amount of character each card has and animations and all that it is it's fun, it's digital, you always have somebody you play against. Normally if I click the play button, it will only take me about 5 to 30 seconds to find a match, so that's very good, so that you don't have to sit here waiting all the time. You do have to wait turns in between against slower opponents, but you know, that's something that you have to face when playing trading card games at any given time. So hopefully you like this. Otherwise, we'll catch you all next time.